here today, of course, to honor and celebrate the life and career of Justice Marie Garibaldi. And part of that tribute will include a presentation of a portrait and the dedication of a courtroom in this majestic courthouse that was so dear to her. On behalf of the members of the Supreme Court, we are all delighted to welcome family, friends, former law clerks, professional colleagues, and partners in public service from throughout her life. Justice Garibaldi was appointed to the Supreme Court by Governor Tom Kean in 1982. She received her law degree from Columbia, an LLM in tax from NYU, before embarking on an impressive career in private practice, and immediately before joining the court, she served as a partner at the law firm Riker Danzig. Now, if you think about those sterling credentials from the perspective of 2017, you can lose sight of what a trailblazer the justice was. As we know, she was the first woman to serve on the highest court of the state, and also the first woman to serve as president of the Bar Association of the state. Now, during her more than 17 years on the bench, the justice authored more than 225 opinions. Her decisions in Toys R Us and Frank versus the Ivy Club, to name but two, elevated the discussion and provided important guidance on discrimination in the workplace and in our society. And the justice also championed complementary dispute resolution. The Inn of Court that is named for her recognizes her leadership in the CDR movement and also continues to foster that in a very practical way. Throughout her time on the bench and her legal career as a whole, Justice Garibaldi was known for her direct, thoughtful, and concise and clear guidance that she provided to judges and practitioners alike.
As a lawyer and justice, Marie Garibaldi was a role model for aspiring lawyers, especially women, and witnessed the two opinions that Chief Justice Ravner mentioned, Lehman versus Toys R Us, which set forth the definition of sexual harassment in the workplace, or Frank versus Ivy Club, which told Princeton and the eating clubs there that they could not ban women simply because they were women. In both her personal and professional lives, Marie conducted herself so that others wanted to treat her with respect and trust and friendship. As a colleague, she was a delight. She promptly circulated the opinions that had been assigned to her. She did the same thing with her separate opinions, and she was often the first to complete the filing of her opinions at the end of a term. Her opinions, as the Chief Justice mentioned, were like Marie herself. They were clear, concise, and direct. Marie had no time in her life for pettiness. One other story, and then I'll close within my allocated 5 minutes. Every year, Marie would send a birthday card to each of the justices. In my case, the cards were hilarious, and they generally had two themes. One, I was growing older, and two, she was still younger than me. And last December, for the first time, no card arrived. And I missed that card, and even more, I miss Marie. And it's good to know that future generations will be able to look at her portrait and remember the first woman to serve as president of the New Jersey State Bar Association and as a justice on the Supreme Court.
I don't know where to begin except to say that none of us, our faithful clerks, would be the people, lawyers, or judges we are today without her influence and inspiration. She inspired us because of her wisdom, not just reflected in her written opinions, but instead the beloved Justice Marie beneath the robes and behind the scenes, the wise jurist who lived the premise that wisdom and compassion are indivisible, who taught us as new lawyers to respect intelligence but to respect kindness more, to follow her lead in being respectful and generous, to understand that practicing law is a privilege and that the practice of law should always be honorable. We learned over time that what inspired us was this innate sense of goodness which made her wisdom so much more powerful and lasting. She inspired us because although she was so busy, she always found time for each of us and did so for years and years. As we grew up and went on with our lives, she was always there to listen and offer advice about a new law firm, a teaching opportunity, or even a judgeship. She was protective of each of us, as if we were her own, gently guiding us where she knew we should go, even if we hadn't figured it out yet. She made each of us feel special, simply because we had become part of the extended Garibaldi family, and she had become part of ours. She celebrated our victories and mourned our losses. She cared about our significant others, our mothers, our fathers, and our children. As a law clerk, she listened patiently to my story of my first date with my now husband, Frank. But she was not impressed when I told her that when we got back to my house, I popped in the VCR she had given me of her interview with Justice Brennan that spring in Washington, D.C. She told me that I would never hear from that guy again. She was wrong on that one. She came to my all-female 50th birthday party given by my husband and gave me the most cherished gift, her judicial robe. Every time I put it on, it is a reminder of the kind of judge I strive to be. She inspired us because of her loyalty. The greatest benefit of a Garibaldi clerkship was the security of knowing that you had the justice in your corner, no matter where your path had taken you in life. Whether you stayed in Hudson County, which she preferred, or ventured to far parts of the world, whether you were a liberal or a conservative, whether you rarely came to the annual clerks gathering, Garibaldi Fest, or never missed one. She had your back. It was important to her that we, her clerks, became friends with each other. She would invite us to different events with different clerks so that we would become friends, which was her plan, and of course the plan worked. Justice Garibaldi's icon status reaches far beyond the courts, the bar, the Catholic Church, the fine university she attended, and the numerous charities she supported. We are here today to celebrate her wisdom, her loyalty, her joyfulness, her goodness, and her friendship. She made us not only better lawyers, but better friends, spouses, daughters and sons, mothers and fathers. For her clerks, she was truly our judicial mother. She made us all better people because we knew her, and that is why she continues to inspire us. Thank you.
Glad to be here at this historic and special event for a very historic and special person. I was chronologically the first of Justice Garibaldi's 46 law clerks, many of whom are seated over there. But every one of us was treated like her as the first. Something unique and special about all of us. And I've been asked today to talk about the justice briefly as mentor. So about 100 years ago, Justice John Crawford Crosby of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, the equivalent of our Supreme Court, said this: "Mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction." And that all applies to our dear mentor, Justice Garibaldi. I'm going to spend a few minutes dividing my examples of this between our mentoring when we were her law clerks and the mentoring that occurred afterwards for many, many years. So, I indeed was with Justice Garibaldi on her very first day of work as a justice in the old Mutual Benefit Life building. Some of you remember that, on Broad Street in Newark. Justice Schreiber was around the corner on the same floor. Justice Coleman from the Appellate Division was nearby. And together, along with her secretary, Marlene, she energetically began going through the boxes of files and cases that were going to be part of the upcoming docket. And what looked like a lot of work to me, the justice was unpacking like Christmas presents. She was just so excited about the work that lied ahead. And she dove into that work very diligently and efficiently, and Chief, absolutely right, with quality. And we were all guided and mentored by her example in that. She was practical, down to earth, common sense, the brain to pick. 225 opinions, always written, handwritten. Nice penmanship, very clear, direct prose. She also taught us in working on those cases how the law could impact everyday real life, the litigants, the people out there who would have to be guided by those rules of law. That continued after the clerkship. She remained very much part of our lives. We remained part of her lives. There was the annual Christmas card. There was the inevitable birthday card. We had this dinner, which became known as the Garibaldi Fest, where most of the clerks would get together either in New York or New Jersey and have a lovely meal with her, and she'd sit down and she'd talk to us about what was going on in our lives and our children and our careers. She was always available to us to give us sound advice on career issues and other things that we were struggling with. Yes, she was the ear to listen to, Judge Crosby. She did treat us like being part of her own family, and we felt the same way. She admired and loved us, and we admired and loved her. And we always will. Our mentor.